A Diva contract signing in the main event? What is this, NXT? What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your November 16th Raw review, with your Survivor Series Go Home Show Raw review. Going into Survivor Series and coming out of this show, we've really only got 5 matches. We've got the 2 semifinals and the final for the world title, the Divas match, which I'll get to later, and The Undertaker and Kane versus 2 members of the Wyatt family. We start off the show, there's not very much. There's no Authority, there's no John Cena, there's no Triple H, there's no anything like that. We briefly recap the, sorry, no we don't. We start off the show with a moment of silence in the crowd. I forgot to write down where they were tonight, but they had a moment of silence. All the roster, all the production people, Lillian Garcia comes out to the ring and says we're going to have a moment of silence in recognition and to pay our respects to the people that lost their lives in the pretty terrible attacks in Paris on the 2 restaurants and the concert hall and outside the soccer field there. I've made my feelings on this quite... No, I'm not a particularly political person, as you guys know. I've made my views on this and on the arguments that have arisen from this since Friday, quite well known on Facebook and Twitter, etc., and gotten my head cut off. So if you want to know my thoughts on that, you're free to look me up or message me at your leisure. But I'm not going to bog down this video with that. But WWE, as always, when something like this happens, they are a worldwide organization. They show tremendous respect, and not that they're even comparable or not that they're even the same thing, but I couldn't help but think back to the SmackDown after 9/11. And I'm not trying to compare one country to another. I'm not trying to compare one tragedy to the other, because you can't. You can't compare people's pain. But for me personally, it brought it back to 9/11. 9/11, you know, the Twin Towers in New York. I am pretty damn close to the American border, even though I'm in Canada. You know, our neighbors to the south, etc. So it's quite effective here, as it was all over the world. WWE having the signification of being the first public gathering of American citizens after the 9/11 attacks and the immense patriotism they showed at that point, the big speaking bit that Vince McMahon did on that night, which you can find on YouTube anywhere. This was not nearly as extravagant. They didn't belabor the point throughout the night. They did their thing. It was very reminiscent, and it was very classy and very respectful. And you know, say whatever you want about WWE, but they handle stuff like this the right way. And you know, very somber way to start the show, but we come back from that. We do the whole Raw intro bit. We recap the tournament from last week and from SmackDown. I do need to say, I did say that I was going to bring back the fights on Wednesday night last week for the purposes of the preliminary matches of this tournament. Problem with that being is I'm with Rogers Cable, and Rogers Cable are a bunch of cunts. And my cable died literally on the stroke of 8 o'clock when NXT should have started. So there was no NXT review. There was no SmackDown review. That's just something that didn't happen. I said that I was going to do that for you guys, and I wasn't able to, so I'm sorry for that. I still don't know what happened on NXT last week, to be honest with you. But SmackDown, we saw Kalisto beat Ryback, which just makes me laugh. We saw Neville beat Bad News Barrett, which just makes me laugh. And we had Alberto Del Rio beat Stardust, which is about par for the course. So we did recap of that. We did recap of last week's Raw for the preliminary matches, and they, you know, they bring it all into center. Tonight we've got Neville versus Owens, Ambrose versus Ziggler, Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio, and Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. So we have the YWC is going to cry a lot in some of these matches, do we not? We start off the actual in-ring action with the Druids and the Choir and the Brothers of Destruction. They replay the Brothers of Destruction destroying the Wyatts last week, which I think was a really stupid idea on the WWE's part. You guys know that I try to be as positive about the WWE as I possibly can. The way I look at the YWC, a lot of people are making their names in this community by finding things to bitch about. I try to counteract that. I try to contrast that with pointing out the things that are positive in WWE. Doesn't mean that they're always perfect. Doesn't mean that they're always perfect. Here's my thought on this, and it's very simple. With all due respect to Undertaker and to a lesser extent Kane, they destroyed the Wyatt family 2-on-4. So if they can, how can I say this? If they can destroy 4 Wyatt family members, why should I care about them taking on just 2 of them at the Survivor Series? It's just a thing. It would be like if John Cena beat the whole Shield in one night. Why would you care that he's fighting just one of them tomorrow? When John Cena destroyed the entire Nexus single-handedly, why would we think Wade Barrett was going to beat him in a match later on down the line? I think it was a poor choice. It was cool. It was cool to see them return on Raw. It was cool to see the Brothers of Destruction. I have to laugh that the Brothers of Destruction is really just Kane walking out behind his brother while his brother makes an entrance to an arena. Unlucky, there's not very many times that I will quote Mark Pearson, but I will say, unlucky Kane, you are a jobber. Moving on. Taker says all the stuff that I didn't. You guys know when there's the cryptic, demonic type promos, I don't write down every word. I tried to do that for Bray Wyatt leading up to his match with Undertaker at WrestleMania. I can't do it because I'll be pausing my TV every 5 seconds. But some of the key points. We are the new army of darkness. We are the new army of vengeance. The Wyatts took our bodies, not our souls, not the other way around. No one can contain the dark side. We have reserved a special spot in hell for them. Your evil cannot match ours, and we've decided we will never let you rest in peace. The Wyatts come out. Bray Wyatt is surrounded by all his, I guess, children, you could say. I think it's great when they come out and Bray Wyatt takes his seat and just raises his hand and somebody puts a microphone in his hand. It's a little tiny thing, but it's one of those things that just makes Bray Wyatt just that much better. Is that two of you have reigned over WWE for 25 years, which is bull because Taker has ruled for 25 years and Kane came along later on. Everyone has feared you in the WWE, from the tallest to the smallest, the giants, the monsters, and everyone in between. But 25 years is long enough, and we are the new army of darkness. I am the face and the master of fear. You will be remembered as the brothers I destroyed. Your creatures of the night are mine. Throws up his hands, does the thunder and lightning bit. Not as much pyro as 2 weeks ago. Still very impressive. But the Druids... It's great because the Druids, as soon as he says, your creatures are mine, the Druids pull their hoods back and they're all wearing sheep's masks. And they all try to attack the Brothers of Destruction. And they fail on their faces. Most of them are about the size of me compared to Undertaker and Kane. But they narrow it down to 2. They narrow it down to 2 and they get a chokeslam. It's funny for me because I notice stupid things like these. So that they don't, accidentally lose their masks, because a lot of the masks fall off. These guys have had black socks completely over their faces. It's not just like they've got the hood over and they hope that nothing happens and nobody sees their face. They've thought it through. But I guess whoever the one that Undertaker chokeslam was, his face stocking or whatever the heck it is, didn't quite fit, because all you could see in the light, in whatever light source there was in that dark arena, there was a shine off the back of this guy, a big safety pin holding his friggin' hood together, which just looked shit, did it not? The Wyatts basically pull a Brock Lesnar on this one, because they come down to the ring. Bray Wyatt stops them about halfway. He's like, our time is Sunday, but for right now, follow the buzzards. It was a great little opening segment. The thing with the Druids is a bit corny. You have to let it be what it is. If you look at it logically, it's a bunch of guys in gowns attacking Undertaker and Kane and getting their asses handed to them. And one of them's got a safety pin. But it is cool for what it is. Not nearly as cool as some of the other things that Bray Wyatt's done, like the little demonic kids singing to John Cena, but that's another story for another day. Neville versus Owens is our first match of the night. Neville versus Owens. Now. You know going into this that Owens is winning. You know that. Which is shit, because it means there's no Intercontinental Championship match at Survivor Series. But this is an interesting situation for Neville, because you don't have to worry about whether he's winning or not, because you know he's not. So now all you can hope for Neville is that he makes a really good showing of himself against somebody like Kevin Owens, so later on down the line, maybe he's in line for an Intercontinental Championship shot. Maybe I'm just being naive, maybe I'm just being super positive on that, but I thought it was a great way to look at it going out. I'm running out of breath because I'm talking super fucking fast. We're not even into the first match yet. We're already 10 minutes into the video. That is really watered down because all the ice is melted. That is really shit. Okay. Collar double tie up and a toss by Owens to start off the match. Neville works on the arm. Boot. Sorry, a boot and a headlock by Owens, shoulder drop by Owens. Sorry, shoulder tackle by Owens takes Neville down, but Neville comes back with a head scissor. Owens bails off the top rope. Owens does not bail off the top rope. Guys, my writing is shit. Owens tries to bail. What would have been a red arrow by Neville is turned into a moonsault from the inside to the outside by Neville on Owens, which looks fantastic, as it always does, and it's a great way to send us to commercial break. Come back from commercial break, and a hard clothesline by Owens, and he rides a headlock to remind us that he's a heel. I told you, the heels in WWE are the greatest. They know you've got busy, hectic lives. You don't always have time to keep track of who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. You got a Kevin Owens match going on. He looks out at the audience. He says, guys, I know you guys are busy. Just in case you forgot, here's my headlock. I'm a bad guy. Owens tries a vertical. He tries a vertical, and Neville does this thing, and it's the way a lot of little guys get out of vertical suplex. But he's up in the air, pitcher Goldberg jackhammer position, and he just knees Kevin Owens straight in the head a couple of times. And it's a simple little thing. It's nothing. There's nothing complex about it. But you see this little guy upside down, still having the offense, and it's a cool little thing. Boot by Neville, chops and crazy kicks. Owens super kicks Neville off the apron. Fireman gutbuster and a running senton by Owens. Owens eats the turnbuckle, belly to back suplex by Neville, second rope red arrow by Neville and an enziguri. Super kick by Neville, reverse spike Hurricane Rana by Neville. Looks fucking disgusting. But Owens, because he's a fucking monster, comes back, pop-up powerbomb, Owens wins. Owens is your first one for sure going to Survivor Series. We announced that there's going to be a contract signing for the women's title match tonight. They don't announce that it's going to be the main event, but it is. Oh yes. So we're going to show historical clips throughout the night as to how we got to Paige versus Charlotte at this Sunday at Survivor Series. The very first one is one that was spoiled for me. The WrestleMania that AJ Lee had the Vicky Guerrero Invitational and basically beat the roster. I was down in the States with my good friend Steffi Sunshine. We watched WrestleMania together. I believe that was when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar, and there was a bunch of fallout from that. But the next night, before I got a chance to actually watch Raw, somebody told her that Paige had debuted. She decided to pass the spoilage on to me. I saw it later on in the night. Didn't have nearly the effect that I would have loved for it to have. But still, great moment. Paige coming out, being the Divas champion in her first night, being the first and only Diva to hold the... why am I so lost in thought tonight? Being the first Diva to hold both the NXT and WWE Women's Championships. Good little moment, and, you know, we got to see AJ Lee on our TVs for a couple of seconds. Tyler Breeze comes out against R-Truth. And I said on Twitter, there's a question that goes around when you come to Monday Night Raw, and it's sort of, who is R-Truth going to lose to tonight? And the answer is Tyler Breeze. Is it not? Collar and elbow tie-up and a bunch of fake-outs in the corner. Both of them. One of them's got the other in the corner. They lean out. You know, they try to take cheap shots. The other one does the same thing. It goes on for longer than it should. Multiple front slams and a leg drop by Truth. A hip toss by Truth. Breeze takes Truth out at the leg, works the leg, mud hole stomps the leg, stomps and gets in sort of a Steve Austin mounted punches type position. Body scissor roll into a single leg crab is fucking beautiful, or as his Twitter would say, @gorgeous. Rolling clothesline by Truth, facebuster, lie detector, and Tyler Breeze, because he's awesome, comes back with a beauty shot and gets the win. I absolutely love the way that the exact same voices that were praising this guy on NXT are shitting on him on the main roster. Literally, the NXT can do no wrong shield falls off as soon as you step foot onto Raw. It's kind of disgusting. See Roman Reigns as another prime example. Ambrose versus Ziggler in the next quarterfinal match. I will say, off the bat, two things that I said on Twitter, got a bit of a reaction out of people, and I will say them here. A, this match, they should have done the brackets differently. This match should have been on the pay-per-view. B, you guys know how I feel about Jeff Hardy and how I feel about Edge. There was a very, very, very large, at least to me, Jeff Hardy versus Edge vibe in this match. As in, there is no... Okay, they're both faces currently in WWE, but it doesn't matter face or heel. Doesn't matter what everything else is going on. These guys are going to have a great match, and they mirror... And JBL said this sometime in the match. They are so different, you know, Ziggler's the pretty boy, and he's the show-off and all that, and Ambrose is more the lunatic one. But when you strip even those bits of their character away, they are so similar in the ring, it's fucking ridiculous. Anyways, test of strength reversal sequence to start. Key lock by Ambrose and a roll-up by Ziggler. Both men try for suplexes. Headlock takedown by Ambrose. Collar and elbow into an armbar. Into a headlock by Ambrose. Headlock takedown by Ambrose. Clothesline in the ring. Modified surfboard stretch by Ziggler and a dropkick tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Ambrose. Single leg crab by Ambrose and a scoop slam, standing elbow by Ambrose and a sleeper by Ziggler. Pinning reversal sequence, and there's a lot of them in this match. I'll just say that right now. Double cross body is great because we always talk about the fact that Ziggler is a ragdoll. Ambrose proved himself to be just as much the ragdoll in this match, and when these two guys collided torso to torso, it was basically like two bags of mud being thrown at each other. That's how loosely they both went down. It was fucking great. Not the best part of the night by far, but a great little spot. Both men fall from the top rope to the floor. They're both trying for some sort of suplex. You know, they fight, they punch, they headbutt, and they both fall off. It's a little bit of a cliche spot, but these guys made it look so fucking good. We come back from commercial break, and there's a suicide dive by Ambrose. Elbow by Ambrose and a drop kick by Ziggler. Ziggler kicks out the knee of Ambrose and follows up with a zigzag. Stinger splash by Ziggler and another pinning reversal sequence. Ziggler tunes up the band, but Sweet Chin music is blocked and Ambrose catapults him into the turnbuckle face first. Ambrose locks in Ziggler's own sleeper. Ziggler counters with a jawjacker. He's like, it's my move. I know how to counter it. You know, have almost a stunner. Rebound clothesline by Ambrose. Top rope X Factor by Ziggler and a super kick. Both men trade punches. There's a crazy, crazy finishing maneuver counter reversal sequence at the end that ends with the dirty deeds, and Ambrose is your winner. Ambrose versus Owens is one side of the bracket at Survivor Series this Sunday, which will be good. Because Owens is another one that he's not quite a ragdoll because he's not built like a ragdoll. He doesn't fight like a ragdoll. But he's very, very good at what these two guys are very good at, making other people look good and getting hate on himself and shine on the other guy. Ambrose versus Owens may be the sleeper match of the night. We replay Stephanie introducing all the divas from NXT and starting the Divas Revolution hashtag. New Day versus the Usos and Ryback. I didn't write down what happened in the match because it didn't matter. Two things matter, though. One classy thing I saw, the Usos face paint, their tribal face paint, was done up in the French colors for the stuff that happened in Paris. I thought that was really classy. And when the New Day were making their opening spiel, there was a sign in the back that said, "Where's Kofi's accent?" And that made me smile a lot. The match is a brawl, and things get out of control, and the match gets thrown out, and nobody cares. So there's that. We replay Charlotte defeating Nikki Bella for the Divas title after she broke the record, which is great. NXT marks celebrate, and, you know, we continue to shit on the Bellas because it's the cool thing to do. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro is not the main event, even though Deluxe Man demanded it. Stiff collar and elbow tie to start, a headlock by Roman Reigns, and then a headlock by Cesaro. A headlock snapmare by Roman, and a head scissor by Cesaro. Not a head scissor like a Hurricane Rana, but a head scissor choke. Headlock by Cesaro on a boot and a roll-up attempt. Cesaro rides a side headlock and turns it into a gut-wrench suplex. Tilt-a-whirl side slam by Roman. Springboard corkscrew uppercut by Cesaro is pretty badass, I'll have to admit. Roman eats post... my writing sucks. Roman eats post, shoulder first, twice. Cesaro uppercuts Roman into the rail on the outside as we go to commercial break. Cesaro rides a headlock. He's trying out being a heel? Maybe, I don't know. Slam by Roman. Cesaro tosses Roman out. Boot by Roman. Clothesline by Roman. Uppercut train by Cesaro. 10 corner clotheslines by Roman. And a side release suplex. Here we go. Here's a cool sequence. Cesaro is really feeling his oats. Cesaro swing turns into the Swiss shooter, turns into the crossface, and it's really, really desperate. It's really, really desperate until Roman Reigns says, wait a minute, I'm Roman fucking Reigns. Fuck your crossface. Have a Samoan drop. Oh, yes. Roman tosses out Cesaro, and Cesaro sells immediately the potential that he's injured his elbow. Drive-by by Roman and the 10 clotheslines in the... Sorry. Drive-by by Roman, clothesline, and then the 10 clotheslines in the corner. Both men selling their arms. Remember, Roman Reigns earlier ate that post to the shoulder twice in a row. So he's got a bad shoulder, Cesaro's got a bad arm, they're both selling it. Until Roman Reigns decides to Roman up and hit a one-armed Batista bomb. JBL is a fucking idiot on commentary too, because he's trying to sell what an awkward maneuver that is. He says in his commentary, go ahead and try that at home, you'll see how hard it is. Michael Cole goes into hyper mode saying, no, leave it to the professionals, don't try that at home. Good job, JBL. Pop-up uppercut by Cesaro. Cesaro dropkicks Roman from the top to the floor. Cesaro gets Superman punched off the top rope, back in the ring. Superman, spear, success. Roman Reigns is going to Survivor Series, but was there any question? And the Cesaro section will cry. Oh, the tears of the YWC really do fuel me sometimes. We replay Paige turning on Becky and Charlotte a couple weeks ago after she already did it a couple weeks before that, which is kind of great. Out of nowhere, and a match that only took about a minute, was the Ascension versus the Dudleys. For reasons. Bubba and Victor started off, headlock by Victor, a back suplex by Bubba, a big boot, a boot by Connor, and a beatdown and a high knee by Victor. Chops and punches by Victor in the corner, and Uranagi, because I can read my writing, Jesus fucking Christ, by Bubba. Hot tag to Devon, shoulder tackles for Victor, a splash and a flying clothesline by Devon. Devon and Bubba Ray hit the 3D on Victor for a Dudley win in less than a minute. I really wish this was going somewhere, but it's just not. Because now we're going to have... I don't know who's feuding with Stardust. Is Neville still feuding with Stardust? Do we really want to see Neville and the Dudley Boys versus Cosmic Wasteland on the pre-show Survivor Series? Or even worse, on the main card? I'm glad that the Dudleys are back, but like... Turn them heel or turn the Usos heel? Give us Dudley's Usos? Sure. Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto was a lot better than it had any right to be. Just because. Headlock by Alberto Del Rio, a snapmare and a kick to the head and a boot, all by ADR, is a great way to start the match. Stomps in the corner by Alberto Del Rio. Kalisto kicks ADR out of the ring. Yeah, running head scissor off the apron by Kalisto is a really sick looking move, and seems to be the theme of the night, is a great way to send us to commercial break. Alberto Del Rio's riding a headlock, reminding us that he's a bad guy when we come back from commercial break. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Kalisto eats the top turnbuckle, and because he's so short, he really does take the whole turnbuckle in his face. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker again. Kalisto eats the top... I just read that. Cravat by ADR is a nice little alteration from the typical headlock. Backstabber by ADR. And here's the thing. He's up on the top rope, and you know, when they have a luchador in the match, the bad guy will always try to take off his mask. Problem is, he actually does take off the mask. And look, for the split second that you see Kalisto, and ADR, and the ref, they all get holy shit looks on their faces as he struggles to put the mask back on, which doesn't make any sense in the match, because your opponent, after taking your mask off, wouldn't be trying to put your mask back on. So I'm really thinking that was done by accident. And I'm really thinking that if that is the case, that Alberto Del Rio is going to get squashed on Sunday, because that's a no. Anyways, so the match grinds to a halt at that point, but we eventually come back. We get Kalisto in a Tree of Woe. He mudhole stomps him in the Tree of... Mudhole stomp in general is pretty fucking bad, but a mudhole stomp when you're in the Tree of Woe is cool, because not only are you getting kicked in the chest, stomach region, but you got to imagine, like, unless you're short like Kalisto, your head's got to be bouncing off the canvas, which is never a good thing, is it? Tries for a spear. Here's the great thing. Trio Woe, mudhole stomp. Alberto Del Rio rears back a couple feet, comes in for a corner spear, I guess, but Kalisto sits up. Alberto Del Rio eats post to the shoulder like a fucking champ. Seated Sinton in a corkscrew crossbody and crazy kicks by Kalisto, clothesline by ADR. Clothesline by ADR really just looked like a punch in the face. That's good. Kalisto comes back with that head scissors spike DDT thing that he does. Alberto Del Rio hangs Kalisto gut first on the top rope when he tries for the Salito del Sol. Tree of Woe double stomp by ADR gets him the win. The other side of your bracket for Survivor Series is Alberto Del Rio versus Roman Reigns. The last replay we see of the Divas is Paige winning the Fatal 4-Way a couple weeks ago to be the #1 contender for the match this coming Sunday. We come back and we have... First of all, we have the announcement that on this week's brain fart. On this week's SmackDown, we're going to have Miz TV with all 4 of the final competitors: Alberto Del Rio, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Kevin Owens, which is going to be great. We really do have to acknowledge or do something about the fact that there is no Intercontinental, no US, and no tag title matches on this Sunday, unless somebody is going to pull double duty, because the Intercontinental Champion is in the tournament, which just makes it seem secondary. The US title, or sorry, the Mex-American Champion is in the World Heavyweight title tournament, which makes that title seem secondary. The fact that the tag team division isn't being acknowledged at all on this pay-per-view makes that seem secondary, and there are no Survivor Series matches this Sunday unless they're going to throw one together on the fly. So it's one of those, I'm looking forward to everything we're going to see, but I'm also thinking about everything we're not going to see. Does that make sense? The Divas contract signing, I didn't write anything down because I didn't think there would be anything to it. But Michael Cole actually started this off really well, talking about how he saw them at their NXT tryout. He knows what friends they were at one point. Paige does the typical thing, you know, you get into this business to win titles, to get your own success. There's no room for friends, rah. Charlotte, okay, I have to say this. Charlotte has no personality. She really doesn't. Charlotte cries. That's what she does. But other than that, she has no personality. And here's the thing. My thing with her for the longest time, and I know it's not her fault. Before anybody castrates me, I know it's not her fault. But WWE, you're not going to show that Charlotte is a superstar on her own if you constantly remind us that she's Ric Flair's daughter, or mention Ric Flair, or, you know, shades of her daddy, or anything like that. But she goes all on about how, you know, they have stuff similar and in common. They both watch their parents, you know, out there putting their bodies on the line because they both cared about the WWE, even though Paige's parents have never been in the WWE. She then, okay, this is uncomfortable. And I know uncomfortable is good because it means I'm involved in the storyline, whatever. She starts talking about her dead brother, which is great in a way, I guess. If she was in a real interview and she was talking about how, you know, every time I go to the ring I think about my brother and whatnot, but as soon as you bring it into the storyline, it's awkward. It's awkward as shit. It's like when they brought in, obviously, the death of Paul Bearer, obviously the death of Eddie Guerrero, but we all know that, you know, Ray used that to its fullest extent, don't we? But we talk about how her brother passed away, and everybody knows this story, especially anybody who's seen the episode of Table for Three with the Divas, which I haven't seen in its entirety, but I hear it's pretty damn great, and they talk at length about her brother that passed away and whatnot. Talking about, you know, how she's not going to give up the title. She will give up the title one day, but it won't be to somebody like Paige, because I've got the fight of my brother, I've got the fight of my father and the rest of my family, and Paige just gets that devious look on her face, and it's just, well, you're kind of wrong there, because your brother didn't have much fight in him at all, did he? And it's just... Trust me, guys, on the one side, I know it's fucking awesome. If I put morality on the shelf, which you guys know me, I'm usually pretty good at doing, in all seriousness with, you know, trolling and all that crap that I do, I know that this is awesome. I really do. But it's one of the... I hesitate to say how awesome it is, if that makes sense. Because it is. Because these girls have a brawl, and it's real. In as much as WWE is real, this is real. It's great because the whole time Paige has her big leather jacket with all the studs on it and whatever, and you can tell every time they move from one thing to another thing to a different position or part of the ring or whatever, you can see all of her blue hair and whatever is stuck in the studs of her jacket, so constantly she's trying to like pull her own, she's trying to fight off Charlotte, but she's trying to pull those strands of her hair out of her own jacket. It's good. They whip the shit out of each other into the rail over the friggin' over the announce desk, etc. I would not be surprised if they announce on SmackDown or even on the pre-show that this becomes a no-rules match and these girls really show us what they can do. Interesting that they went the family route. I mean, I would, you know, she called Flair an old fart, and that I thought that would be the end of the family angle. But then they went to the brother thing, and it's one of those, I wasn't expecting it. It's pretty damn badass. They don't do shit like that with the Divas, so that's a step in the right direction there. They're being a little bit more edgy, a little bit more risky with their content or their ideas that way. But it's uncomfortable, but I guess it's supposed to be. So yeah, this was fucking awesome. It really was. Paige is great, because Paige is like way out there and way animated. If it wasn't for the fact that we knew that everything Charlotte was saying was actually true, like she actually did lose a brother, she actually did, you know, lose all that time with her dad because he was always on the road. If we didn't know that what she was saying was true, I think her promo would have been boring. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because I think as a talent in the ring, she deserves the belt that she's got over her shoulder. As an all-over entertainer in the WWE, please put the belt back on Paige. Just saying. And yes, I'm admitting that I'm completely biased on that. Fucking badass that this is what ended the show. And this is what should have ended the show. And there was not a lot of authority. There was a couple of authority things backstage. You could see Triple H talking to all the other competitors in the tournament and all that sort of thing. But really, the only long talking segment was the beginning with The Undertaker and with Bray Wyatt, which are not too bad people to have on the mic. And these girls at the end of the night, and like I said at the beginning of the show, they're really trying to be NXT here with giving the Divas that main event spotlight. I think it's great. I am looking forward to Survivor Series. I know I've sat here and I've kind of half-assed my enthusiasm for Survivor Series because of all the stuff we're not getting. Like I say, we're not getting an IC match, we're not getting a US match, we're not getting a tag match that I know of so far. But we are getting Roman Reigns versus Alberto Del Rio. We are getting Owens versus Ambrose, and I'm predicting right now that we're getting Roman versus Ambrose, and there will be some storyline going forward from there. We are getting Paige versus Charlotte, which with only 5 matches on the card, I'm pretty sure those girls are going to get a decent amount of time, and good for them. We are getting all the super spooky, supernatural stuff of our childhood with Undertaker and Kane versus 2 members of the Wyatt family, which you know is either going to end up being 4-on-2, or Taker and Kane are going to get some help. Cough, cough, Sting. Cough, cough, Finn Balor. So yeah, we're not getting all the typical things that I would want. Again, the fact that there's no Survivor Series matches announced as of yet is really a stick in my craw. But I mean, they had to rearrange everything when Seth Rollins got injured, so how much can you really criticize them for that? I've been rambling on quite long enough. I'm excited for Survivor Series. All things being equal, I should be throwing up a preview for Survivor Series on Wednesday. I know that Guapo's told me he's in. I hope Kristen is in as well. Maybe, you never know who else might show up on one of the tackle previews. Put your thoughts down in the box below. What are your final thoughts going into Survivor Series? Are you excited? Are you not excited? Are you focused on what we're not getting, or are you predicting that you're going to enjoy what we do get? Tell me down in the box below. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going and add to this month's Q&A. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.